In April 2012, Venture, in the company of Norwegian-owned Fleming 55 Cito, travelled from Marstrand in Sweden, across the Skagerrak to Skagen in Denmark, and on to Stavanger in Norway. Most of the route was through the North Sea, around the notorious southern tip of Norway. Although no longer in regular use, these ladder-like structures are salmon lookout towers, used by fishermen to make sure they had a good catch before closing and hauling in the heavy nets, which were weighted with stones. Today, GPS makes it relatively easy to know where you are among the bewildering maze of rocks and islands. Traditional navigation relies on squat, sectored lighthouses with Chinese hats, and on stone cairns called vardas. Some of these resemble the conning towers of submarines. Whenever possible, we sought protection among inside passages, winding through the islands and skerries. These scenic byways provided calmer waters and were home to numerous small towns. Four days after leaving Marstrand, we arrived in the busy port of Stavanger, which is the Norwegian centre for the North Sea oil industry. Oil rig supply vessels tower over shoreside buildings. This was home port for Cito, and her owner was our generous host and guide through the web of magnificent fjords and islands which surround Stavanger. We headed first to stunning Lysefjord. The boats were dwarfed by the immensity of the surrounding cliffs, rising sheer from the water. The crags plunged vertically into water thousands of feet deep, permitting Sito to nudge close to a handful of goats, browsing on a patch of grass at the base of the cliffs. From the fjords we headed back to Stavanger and out to the offshore islands of Kvitsoy and on to Skudenshavn on the island of Kvitsoy. Skudenshavn is considered the best preserved town of wooden houses in Europe. They hold a boating festival around the end of June every year. It is the largest gathering of coastal culture in western Norway, attracting 35,000 visitors and 600 vessels for all types, from wooden boats to tall ships. We left at dawn to return to the fjords. This time Josenfjord. We tied up to a rough jetty at the very head of the fjord. Returning to a suburb of Stavanger, a friend of Sito's owner brought his helicopter in for a landing on his dock. From here he took us to a wonderful overview of the surrounding fjords. This flat rock overlooking Lysefjord is known as Pulpit Rock, 2,000 feet above the fjord and accessed via a trail through the mountains. Sadly, our memorable trip together was coming to its end. The time had come for us to all go our separate ways. The helicopter returned to base. Sito left for home. Venture went first to Marstrand and Copenhagen, before turning her bows north to Stockholm.